Shadowland. They've got fire, they've got style, they make chaos look worthwhile. Partners in crime, heartbeats aligned, together they're one of a kind. They're the couple that slays together, storming the world, it's now or never. Back to back, through thick and thin, in the game of life they always win. Blazing trails, leaving legends behind. Love so fierce, it's one of a kind. We're the couple that slays together. Oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Couple That Slays Together. I'm Katie.
Hey, and I'm Brandon. Hey, Katie, it's Friday the 13th.
Oh, my goodness.
Gosh, it's one of our favorite days. You know, we only got 3 of these this year for 2026, if you're watching us live. And you might also notice a little bit something different here in our studio.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so we decided to all Katie, give credit, 100% of the credit to Katie. She's the one that suggested we...
The idea, but you did the hard work of moving everything around.
Okay, well, she has always said we should really be using the mask wall as our backdrop. At first, I was a little hesitant, a little apprehensive about it, but after going through a lot of things, I decided, yeah, it's a good idea. So, I took a scan of the room with ChatGPT and kind of got some ideas, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. So,
yeah, I mean, the bulk of our collection are the DVDs and the vinyl pops and everything, which are great. I still do like the aesthetic, but I feel like the rarity of the masks and the amount of hard work that goes into creating these, making these,
yeah.
You've gone and traveled with these to get these signed, that they deserve to have more of a highlight. And every time we would record, I would kind of see them to the left of us and think, man, we really should utilize the masks more. So
yeah.
I'm glad that, we did this. I think this is a fun background. Put in the comments what you guys think too. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah. But, we pulled one mask in particular right here. It's our mask from Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives. And that reason is because today on our show, we were interviewing Jason Voorhees himself from that film, CJ Graham. Now, CJ and I have been friends for about a better part of a decade and just really gotten to know him and his wife and, really great guy. And so called him up and said, hey, would you want to come on our show to be our Friday the 13th guest? And he said, absolutely. So what you're going to hear is him talk about, his time on Friday and his time with his other film he did, Highway to Hell. He played the Hellcop in that film. He also talks to us about being Elias Voorhees in the independent film series Vengeance and Vengeance 2.
Yeah, there's some really great behind the scenes information. But what I really like about this is that there are no spoilers.
Yeah. So
you can enjoy this interview. If you have not seen either of these movies, I highly suggest you do because they're both great.
Yeah.
Kind of classic cult horror movies for you. But you can enjoy the interview without having anything of plots, twists, anything like that spoiled for you from these 2 movies.
Yeah. So before we get into this as well, we did realize before filming that before filming this intro that our center camera was not on, but fortunately we did have the video from our live stream, so we can actually use that video. So just to keep in mind that it's not going to be this same camera, and we shouldn't have this problem going forward. But
a little bit different, but that's all right.
Yeah. But without further ado, guys, here's CJ Graham. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. I just got, get all the horses and everybody ready on the ranch and didn't get a chance to take a shower. So, you don't have any boots on, but, just put a hat on to cover up my sweaty head so I wouldn't look too bad.
That's all good.
But we got about 6 to 8 inches of snow coming in tomorrow afternoon through the next 2 days. So I have to make sure everything is tight.
Yeah.
So the horses are in and out of their pens and, everything is clean.
So our first question here for you is, where are you from originally, and where'd you grow up, and what was life like for you as a kid, and in your teens and everything?
Guys, just for the record, I'm 69 years old. That means I'm an old fart. The outside looks pretty good, but my doctor tells me the inside looks like a train wreck. So go figure. That's her words, not mine. But hey, I grew up in Seattle till I was 17. 1974, I went in the military, so I got the last 2 years of Vietnam, 74 to 75, stayed through 1978. In those days, you could be given options by a judge, here or there. I took there, if that makes any sense. So my mom signed for me at 17 to go in the military. So I went in the Army, infantry, cross-trained Persian nuclears, but stayed in the infantry the entire 4 years, 1974 to 78. Just for the record, for you people out there listening, my very, very first job when I got out of the military was delivering porta potties. That's right, porta potties to job sites. That's that blue stuff that goes in there and they suck it out. Yes. First job out of the military, and we used to say, don't laugh, because your shit was my bread and butter. That's a fact. So when you people started thinking, oh God, my job, listen, been there, done that. So, but I enjoyed it, went through the process, and about 80, 81 went into Sahara Del Webb. That's a casino in Lake Tahoe. And started in selling change. Went in security, learned to meet the pit bosses, went to dealing school, started dealing craps, 21 roulette. And then I said about 82 or 3, I thought I'd go down to LA and take a look at LAPD. Ended up running nightclubs down there. And really the rest is history at this point, because got discovered. And what I mean by got discovered is ended up playing Jason in Friday the 13th, Part 6. Of course, Hellcop on Highway to Hell. And then after about 8 or 9 years being down there, I decided to take my butt back to Las Vegas and go to the casino industry. So I stayed in that industry for another 22 years. And the last 9 years of my 22 years, I was a chief operating officer, general manager of a couple billion-dollar resorts with give or take 2,500 employees on any given day. About 9 years ago, I retired, bought a ranch in Montana. Guess what? I'm doing some conventions here and there throughout the years and getting to meet the fans and really just relaxing. I've got some horses, some alpacas, some chickens, cowboy boots with real poop on the bottom of them, just for the record.
You're back in the shit business, right?
Yep.
Hey, I can shovel it. Listen, look at my shoulders, though. It keeps me pretty fit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that you got discovered. What was that like initial conversation? How did that go about?
Yeah, you said you were a bouncer in a nightclub, right?
Well, I was a general manager of a 15,000 square foot nightclub in LA. And Thursday nights, I had a hypnotist on stage. And Jack decided, Jack was the Lachlan was the hypnotist, decided to have a company come in and video record. That's right, video record. It's called VHS. Look it up. And since he had a company come, it happened to be a company called Real Effects, REEL Effects. You go back and do your research, Real Effects did all the special effects for Ted White on Part 4. So they talked to Jack about putting my big butt in Ted White's wardrobe and having a breakaway screen to scare the subjects on the set. So everybody was out, and then all of a sudden they'd wake up and I'd break through the screen. Real Effects people kept saying, we're going to cast you, and you've all heard that big story. You're going to be a movie star, you're going to be a model, you're going to, whatever.
Yeah.
So I blew it off because I was doing fine, and I was truly testing at LAPD and maybe the Sheriff's Department at the time. And a couple of 3 months later, I got a call to go meet Frank Mancuso Jr. and Michael Nomad and Tom McLaughlin at Paramount Studios. Did not get the job. I always tell people that. There is a scene where the gentleman gets hit with paintballs, and that's not me. A lot of people just assume I'm wearing padding. He's a little thicker than I am, and that was one of the reasons after that Daly came back, they just weren't pleasantly pleased with the approach that he was having when he just didn't give that authoritative, powerful look. They did keep that scene because it was a very complicated scene, and they gave me a call on a Thursday, and by Tuesday, I was in Covington, Georgia. Guess what? Jason, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
Wow.
There you go.
So the only scene you didn't do in the film was the paintball scene.
Right. And the other scene that I always tell people, I always give Christopher Swift credit because they call second unit. When I was on first unit shooting, and I couldn't tell you what I was shooting at the time, they wanted to do the second unit shot with the maggots on the eye. So Chris, who was my makeup guy, put the makeup on his eyeball because he has green eyes like I do. And they plopped him down and threw some maggots on him. He opened his eyes, and they shot that close-up of the eyeball.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is they had what's called a maggot wrangler, with somebody with Q-tips pushing those maggots away from his eyes when they get too close.
Wow.
Wow. So in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, uh, what was the first time Jason really felt like a supernatural monster instead of a human killer? Did you approach that character differently, knowing that Jason was basically an undead?
Actually, it was pretty simple for me. Since I'd never been on a set, never been to stunt school, never been to acting school, everything was new to me. So I was obviously paying attention very, very well to Tom McLaughlin, the director. And he's around my age, so we both like Universal horror, Frankenstein, Mummy, Werewolf, and those types, Boris Karloff back then. His direction to me was he did not want him to be a zombie. Make sure you're not a zombie, just walk around. I want you to have some connectivity with the brain cells, and as it goes forward, you can see that you're thinking a little bit more and you're putting your thoughts together rather than just a zombie. So from the minute I walked out, which was the very first thing that I recall doing, when I took that position and started walking towards the motorhome, from an authoritative figure, I semi-marched like a soldier towards it, and when I got there, that little tilt of the head was just enough to give it a humanoid tenderness, just to give you, "Okay, he's thinking about it. What's going on?"
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so like you just said, you were not a trained actor at the time. How much of Jason's like body movement, and like presence did you create yourself versus like Tom's direction? Like, did you, like, did he have to guide you a lot on that, or did you do a lot yourself?
I got no guidance. Tom just said, "Go." And from that minute, I went on with my very first scene. And just so you know, the very first scene that I was in was when I walked into profile with my full wardrobe. I turned and looked at the motorhome and noticed it was moving, and I tilted my head. And then I started walking towards it. From that point on, he never said one thing at all about my performance. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that was all he said. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
So fans have always kind of asked about the utility belt and Jason on that. Do you know why production kind of explain why he suddenly had tools and a tool belt?
Well, you have to realize it came from the game players who were playing paintball. The one little guy with the glasses who lost his arm, uh, he had it on his belt. If you go back and watch it, he had that pistol belt on. So when Jason discarded his arm and everything, he put the pistol belt on. Again, going back to there's some thought process here. He's not a zombie. He saw the guy using it. He saw that there are weapons in it, and he utilized those. I always tell people about part 6. The thing I like about it, it's got that James Bond opening.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it. Comes back to life like Frankenstein, comes out of the grave with a lightning. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Alice Cooper does the music, and I get to wear a Batman utility belt.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this film, it's really, it's a fan favorite. I mean, it's not. I'm not blowing smoke. It's my favorite individual Friday the 13th film.
Make sure you tell Kane Hodder that, okay? I want you to stick to your guns when you talk to him.
All right, that's fair.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously you guys are coming up on your 40th anniversary. I mean, sorry, this is your 40th anniversary year. You and a lot of your casts have already been touring, but you're doing it's a big year for this film. Jennifer Cook, who played Megan, your final girl, is the only Friday final girl not to appear at a convention. Have you guys talked to her about potentially doing one with you guys?
I have not. I understand she's married many years ago. I understand again, just for people talking, that she just drifted out of the acting. Her and her family do very well. There's no need for her to do it,
Sure.
or desire. And it might just be one of those things that, a lot of the actors historically, even new actors, have found that there's so many fans out there that want to meet you. And one of the big contributing factors is over the years, Comic-Con in San Diego has become so big. I remember doing Comic-Con, God, 16, 17 years ago when Part 8 came out.
Yeah.
When the package came out, we were all there, and there were a couple 100,000 people now, and now my understanding is it's well up to 300,000. You can't find a room for years in advance. So I think that picked it. And then some of the shows like Monster Mania, You know, David Haig did a great job. He's been doing that for 18 years, and every show he does, they're sold out.
Yep.
And then you've come along with all the different others, Texas Frightmare, Whorehound, etc., and even some of the paranormal folks with the insane asylums have picked up bringing Horrorcast in, and then the comic book stores have picked up bringing one or two actors from the horror industry in. Myself and Lee from Scream did one recently. It was just him and I at a comic book store that sold masks and everything. So it's really grown unitingly where everybody has went, wow, this is crazy. But more importantly, I did this 4 decades ago. I mean, guys, I had no idea that this would even exist 40 years later. So for me, it's an honor. It's become iconic, and I get to be part of something that's going to be around, hopefully, for a while. And it's already been around for 40 years.
On that note, I mean, so many different actors, both before and after your performance, played Jason. Are there any like guidelines or rules that you think like Jason has to have? He has to move this way or present this way.
You know, I don't have any that I'm aware of. I've never heard. I mean, I used to give Kane a hard time when he did part 7 because when it came out, he was walking and he was breathing.
Yeah.
I said, Kane, you're dead. Why are you breathing? And then it's dawned on him, oh, yeah, man. So in all of this, he always had to do the, you know, the anger part. That's how he expressed his anger.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's had their own way they've done things. I mean, Ken did it the way he wanted to. But again, I don't know the direction they received from the directors. So they may have been acting in accordance to what they were being told to do. Tom, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. So there was no direction whatsoever. Just, you know, simple thought process and simple motion of your body structurally can show the anger without doing a lot of movement.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so you bring up part 7. When the news broke that the Friday the 13th franchise was continuing, was there any discussions about bringing you back for part 7 as Jason? Were you disappointed that you didn't get to continue the role? Like, how did that go?
You know, it's really, I mean, Kane will tell you the same thing. He's been on camera talking that they were happy with part 6. Let's go ahead and give CJ part 7. It was moving forward at that point. Kane, who knew John, they'd worked together many years. Kane's a huge horror fan. Going back to what I said a moment ago, you have to give him so much credit for what he's done over the last 40 years himself, promoting Jason, Friday the 13th. Guy's out there every weekend doing a convention. I couldn't do it, you know, so you got to take your hat out to that. So he did have to go after John. John had to convince Paramount. So I always tell Kane, well, Kane will always give me a hard time. He goes, well, how many were you in? I go, 2. What? 2. I was in part 6 and part 7. What? I said, well, the whole front of part 7 is me in the prologue, correct? Yeah. I said, I got credit in the back for being Jason. He goes, well, did you get paid? I go, yeah. So technically I could put 6 and 7 just to irk him, but I don't because I love that guy.
Yeah.
Just kind of changing gears a little bit. Highway to Hell. We just rewatched that. Love it. It's a great cult classic. Did you realize at the time just kind of how like quirky and weird and unique of a film that was? And did you guys think like this is going to be a cult classic kind of while it was in production?
I think we had interest in it because it was so sideways. The unfortunate thing about Highway to Hell is the people that are now seeing it are like, wow, like, oh my God, I love that character. Oh, Christy Swanson in it, you know, Ben Stiller's in it, his mom and dad are in it. The challenge with Highway to Hell is approximately 2 weeks before distribution to the theaters, the company Hemdale bankruptcy. So it never made it to the theaters, let alone a VHS. For the most part, it sat on the shelf until a few years back when I believe it's United Artists and MGM bought the library, which included Highway to Hell. So now there are DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff out there, and people are starting to catch on to it. Not to mention when people find out I played Hellcop, they're like, oh man, I love that show. It's unfortunate it didn't make a theater distribution like they did back in the 80s and 90s, and now everything's kind of went to pay preview and stuff. But in those days, the theater distribution, which put your name on the board, I still have 9 of the original studio version posters that they put at the theaters in my garage that Hemdale sent me. You know, they're still in the Hemdale box. I had 10, and there's been a guy that had done a couple things for me with my banners and stuff, and he had wanted one so bad that I finally signed one and gave it to him. So, to the best of my knowledge, when you see those color ones out there, those aren't the originals. The originals were black and white, just so you know.
Yeah, interesting. I bought one of the DVDs from you. It's sitting right here, actually. So, I'm curious about the design of your costume. I love the costume in it. So, you know, especially with like the big cheesy gun and like the hand cuffs. Did you have any input on that look, or like, you know, or the character or anything? Because I mean, obviously they used more of your real face this time.
Well, that one was, again, I was the second person to get the part. The first person, whoever it was that got it, they'd already made the prosthetics for. He had a longer face like mine, and decided he didn't want the part when he realized nobody was going to see his face. I don't care if you see my face. It's ugly covered. It's ugly uncovered. It's just ugly. So coming into it, they were looking for somebody that could fill into what was already built, but they'd already spent give or take 100,000. Steve Johnson, very well known special effects guy, is the one that did all the makeup. Wardrobe and stuff was done through the director and stuff, but Steve made the gun and the hands that moved, etc. So I don't know if he was given direction originally through the boards from the director, or if that's something Steve himself. Now, when it comes to the prosthetics, that was all 100% Steve's creation. Give or take 5 pieces: lips, nose, ears, forehead. Everything was glued on in pieces and segments. Took approximately 5 hours every morning, starting give or take 3 a.m.
Oh.
to be ready for a 7 to 8 o'clock call on set.
And how long was the shoot?
7 weeks.
Okay.
So between that and Jason, which one made you more claustrophobic? Or did you?
You know, I got to be honest, neither. And the reason I say that is, today I think about what was I thinking 20 feet underwater, breathing off a regulator without a breakaway chain.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know the difference, to be quite honest. I was naive. I had a customer or a fan about a year and a half ago. Was that a breakaway chain? I'm like, no. It should have been, huh? They go, because if you look at it, it's a solid, real chain. They put 2 center blocks on the bottom of the 20-foot pool for me to always go to the same location, even though it's blacked out. That way I had a base that I could stand on. But the chain's real. The chain's holding me down. The chain is screwed if you take a little close look at it. And no matter what, once I signal for air, if nobody comes in, there's no way in heck that I'm going to get those gloves off and find the link, you know, of all those links and get it unscrewed and be soaking wet and get to the surface 20 feet above me. It just ain't going to happen. So I always wondered about that. Hey, you're right. It wasn't a breakaway chain. So we do things when we're younger because we're naive.
Sure.
And because we think we can do anything when we're that age.
Yeah. I mean, even, you know, working in this Comic-Con business, you know, I've talked to people from all sorts of different walks of life and such. I worked with a lot of the Power Ranger actors, and they, you know, back in those days, like, you know, early 90s, they'd put them way up on quarry statue things without any safety harnesses or anything. I mean, they'd be teenagers walking around on this thing. So it's crazy how much different things were, like production-wise, were different back then as opposed to now.
Yeah, and to answer your question more direct, either they were the same. I mean, once I had the mask on, you know, I had limited vision, of course, the whole time. But the most scary of it all that would have been challenging when I was 20 feet underwater, it's night, it's blacked out. There's a tarp all the way around that 20-foot pool. I'm standing there with a chain and full wardrobe. And when I need air, I signal to people I don't even know who I just met that night to bring me a regulator. So that would have been, but it really came down to, because I only had one eye, but even when I looked out the one eye, it was black. It was really just a matter of controlling your breathing, controlling your emotion and just relaxing and knowing that everybody's got your back and just taking care of business.
Yeah. Oh. So back to Hellcop, or sorry, Highway to Hell. Did you get to interact with Ben or Jerry or Amy Stiller like on set or at all, like behind the scenes?
Oh yeah, I will say his mother and father were the nicest. They were so kind. I still have an autographed photo of them that they autographed for me, and I've got a lot of photos from the set when we were all on the set together working, and the same thing with Christy Swanson. Um, I never met Ben except for that 9 seconds he was in the movie. Obviously, he's been very successful. I'm very happy for him and his family, and his mom and dad have passed. But I mean, it was just fun. At the time, I honestly didn't really know the magnitude of his mom and dad's notoriety. But when we were doing the scenes inside the coffee shop, is when I really got a chance to talk to them and sit down when we had a break. Because even though I had the glasses glued to the side of my head and my face, I could talk normally. My lips were glued, but they were moving lips, so I could have a conversation with anybody. And when he's saying, when she's saying, Mr. Hellcop, Mr. Hellcop, your girl just took off, and you look down, and the guy spilt the coffee, and off she went. It's the same thing with Ben. He was outside cooking an egg on the sidewalk. Well, go figure.
Yeah. And then working with Chad Lowe in the hotel scene, how much prep went into that? Like when you had to spin him around, and like how many takes did you have to do that scene? When you're like you have to spin him and throw him into the wall.
We only did a couple on that. And two, number one, let's remember, there was a stunt person. Once I got a hold of him in the air, you had him from the front, the stunt guy from the back. But it was a good throw, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It was the same thing when I was doing everything playing Friday the 13th, Jason. We going through the walls, going through the door, one take. They cost a lot of money to set them up again. And if you can pick the person up and throw them one time and you have the strength, it's no different than when I took the door off. I had no idea that the door was unhooked, but I didn't realize when I went to throw it how much force I could throw that sucker with. It was like I picked it up and threw it, and everybody just kind of went, okay. I had the same reaction when I hit the door coming off the motor home in Jason Lives. I'm scrunched down there on a box with fists closed with gloves. And when they said action, I heard the radio inside. I just stood up and hit that full force with my fist, and it just went flying. It wasn't a fake. None of that was fake doors. They were real. Same thing with the window that I broke in the VW. That's a real window.
Wow.
You were saying with Hellcop that you had the prosthetics, you were able to talk, but he didn't have any speaking, any lines at all, and so did neither did Jason. At any point, did you wish that there was, the ability to have a line, like specifically with Hellcop, because you had the ability?
Never thought about it, to be honest. I young enough, naive enough, and I was there to just do a job.
Right.
Character didn't require me to talk, so there was no reason to. But they glued the top lip and the bottom lip on. So when it came to lunch, I never got to eat lunch
Oh.
because if I had any lunch, a burger or whatever, the greases would separate the prosthetics from my lips with the oils. So I had protein shakes the whole time. They were making me 2 protein shakes for lunch, and I'd stick a straw in my mouth and drink those protein shakes. But it never dawned on me, to be quite honest. I didn't, when I went to LA, again, I was looking at LAPD and the sheriff's department. I wasn't looking at being an actor or a stuntman. Once I got a Screen Actors Guild card and started getting some national commercials and, paydays from that kind of stuff, I thought, wow, that's a pretty cool industry. However, you got to remember 6'3", 250, Tom Cruise doesn't want to stand next to me. All right. Most actors are 5'9"-ish, 5'8"-ish.
Yep.
The last person they want to stand next to is me. I mean, Sylvester Stallone, barely 6 foot. Arnold Schwarzenegger, barely 6'1".
Yep.
I don't think they really want to stand next to somebody like me unless it's a special part that they need somebody. But you know what? In those days, we really weren't given the prosthetics or the heroes of being the monsters. Darth Vader and all those. They didn't care who they were. They just wanted big physical bodies. But there was nobody representing people like that would put prosthetics on. Now, today, there are people like Doug Tate's a good example. He loves doing prosthetics. He does so many different things. He called me about 2 months ago and he was in a frog suit, you know? So today they can get into it and they can be uh, action actors, not a stunt actor, an action actor that will do action work and stunts combined with their acting capability.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up the height and the weight thing, because I know it's nice to have, a big tall guy like you, and then, like you be that same role. It's always weird when, as much as we love the Scream franchise, it's always weird to see like a big, tall, 6 foot, however big, and then it ends up being Emma Roberts taking the mask off and she's tiny. It's like
Right.
the accuracy of that's just interesting. So, but um, well, so Highway to Hell felt a lot like a Mad Max horror dark comedy, if you will. Where was that filmed? Was it really hot? Like, what was that vibe on set? Like, how did that go? Like, film wise, like filming it.
Hot. We filmed it in Lake Powell, Arizona, and it was cooking. It was hell. They picked that area because of the redness, and it looked like desert, of course. We stayed at a small resort on Lake Powell, when we were off set. But when we were on set, we're out there in the desert. I mean, it was cooking full board. For me, again, I had all the prosthetics on. There wasn't much I could do. The wardrobe was very much more comfortable than the Jason because it was more tailored to my physique, as you can tell, the way I fill that out. And wearing combat boots, the same boots I wore with Jason, the same combat boots I wore in the military.
Yeah.
So I was comfortable with that look, with my pants tucked like a soldier. So it really didn't phase me much, but it was a little rougher because it was being shot in the desert. Now, flip coin, Friday the 13th, we shot all at night. So you're freezing your tush off all night. So, oh well.
True. Yeah.
Now, what was it like to play Elias Voorhees when you were able to play in Vengeance to the Bloodlines? And was there ever talk of that becoming an official part of the franchise?
For the first one.
The nice thing about the Vengeance 1 and 2, which are independent films, Vengeance 1 wasn't bad, but then the guy that played Jason in Vengeance 1's assumed Vengeance 2 and directing it. So in my opinion, Vengeance 2 is a much stronger vibe, the way it's shot. But it was kind of interesting because there's nobody in the world right now that I'm aware of who's ever played Jason Voorhees and Elias Voorhees.
Right.
Nobody has that honor. I mean, it's me. And there's always been reference to Elias Voorhees, even with Tom McLaughlin, about the father. The thing is, there's a spinoff there that's available if someone would think it through, because Elias Voorhees in Vengeance has a book of magic, black magic to be exact. And there's that ability to use that black magic to either bring Jason back in a different form or bring him back again, and then put the secondary content of Elias into the film to give it a little more, a new foundation, a new way to stand. The unfortunate thing is, here's a good example. Star Wars, as magnificent as it is, if they would have known in 1977, I think it came out, what they know today, they would have put it together very similar to Harry Potter. Harry Potter knew what they were doing. They knew each one was going to be connected if it was successful, and each one rolled over to the other one. Well, Star Wars is all over the place. They've got the frog from 1977 now doing a new movie. My point is, Friday the 13th did the same air. We thought it's one and over, so to speak. And if they would have had it together and put it together like Harry Potter did, they would have had a nice series where the next one is part 13. Could have been a kicker where you could have thrown in Elias Voorhees to the backside of it. And like I said, with Star Wars, they've got so many different pieces of Star Wars now, and they're all successful, of course. But wouldn't it have been great to see number 1 and then went to number 2, and then the series just progressed off of that into what has become like the Harry Potter's series today? I mean, it's magnificent. I mean, it's the best way. I think people should always think about doing, instead of the one and over, one and the opportunity to do a part 2.
Yeah. Now, Was there ever any discussion, whether it was on, Jason Brooks' side or Paramount side or anything, was there ever any talks of trying to make this story into official canon?
I wasn't involved in that. That would have been Jason Brooks and his team, but Jason is still doing films right now, on a regular basis. I think that's one of those things where you go back to Terrifier, and if you can do Vengeance 3 and continue to get, 4 million hits on YouTube, et cetera, that you'll get somebody's attention, like Terrifier, and they'll come in and, back you with a little bit more money because it's been so successful. I think Vengeance has an opportunity if they play their cards correctly. But that would be Jason Brooks, very intelligent, very good director. He played Jason well. He enjoyed it. He did the special effects, which he did a great job because a lot of the stuff that we did 40 years ago, even 20 years ago, you couldn't do to the same extreme that you can today. When I pulled out Horseshack's heart, it was pumping blood. It was great shot. The artery was pumping, blood was going everywhere. Unfortunately, they made him take it out because it would be an X-rated movie. In today's balance, it would have been okay. So I think there's great opportunities that somebody could pick it up. And I think Terrifier would be a good example to go, yeah, look where we're at with that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so over the years, you've met thousands of fans at these conventions, man. Like you've been all over the world. Um, do you have your most memorable fan interaction in a positive way? And like, what's like the weirdest interaction you've ever had with a fan?
Well, the weirdest is the guy that wanted me to autograph, and he came up and I said, great, what do you want me to autograph? And he took his leg off and had me autograph it.
Huh.
So that was interesting. He pulled that sucker right off from the knee down. Hey, don't you autograph my leg? Okay. So I thought that was weirdest, but interaction, it's, you know what? I have people that are 6 years old come up to me and they've, with a crayon, drawn a real nice picture of Jason with fingers, just like a little kid would do,
Sure.
and a little hockey mask and colored outside the lines, so to speak, and so proud that they did that drawing of Jason. So I mean, it's really hard to say the best. I mean, all the fans that come up that are so engaged, how can you not appreciate that? I wouldn't be here without the fans. There's an old saying, remember where you came from. I do remember. And without them, without you both, I wouldn't be here enjoying this today. Now that I'm retired from the casino industry, still being able to, I leave Friday morning going to Milwaukee. It's Friday the 13th. You know what? We're doing a convention this weekend. I'm very lucky, very fortunate.
Absolutely. Um, when someone meets you and they realize that you're Jason, like say outside of the con, what reaction do you see the most? Or like, do you have people that are like, "Hey, aren't you Jason?" Or like, have you ever had to like say it?
Both ways. I've had people at Universal Studios when my kids were little, I took them there and guy pointed at me because I'm kind of big. Hey, you played Jason. How do you know this? TSA going through Atlanta one time, me and Derek Mears were going through and the TSA agent looked at my name and then said, are you the guy who played Jason? I go, yeah. Oh man, I'm a big Jason fan. I said, well, do you know Derek Mears? Oh, yeah. You see the guy right over there? That's him. You know, so excited that he knew the name. I had a guy this last year where I'm in Montana. I was going to Albertsons shopping. The guy was bringing the shopping cart towards my truck. I thought he was going to give it to me because he was finished loading his car up. And then when he got to me, first thing he said, aren't you CJ Grand that played Jason? I'm like, yeah. Can I still have your cart? Which he gave it to me, but it was, yeah, I do run into people now. If they don't know. Sometimes people on an airplane will go, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just going to check a convention out. Well, oh, dear. They dig it out of you because you just don't want to jump at them with it. Number one, it's kind of odd. You're sitting next to Jason on an airplane. Not a good place to be. But if they pick it out of you and say, well, I did some stunt work and acting when I was younger. Whoa, anything I know? I said, well, and when I get to the point where I say I play Jason, I said, well, flip your phone on and go to search and put my name in and see what happens. Because
Yeah.
anybody can say they're Jason. Let's be fair. All right. But when I say put my name into Google search or your search engine, the first thing that pops up is me.
Right.
And then they kind of go, God, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm sitting next to Jason on an airplane. And I said, yeah, and you're going to live too, So we have fun with it. But there are a lot of people. I've even done a show here in Montana last year that was extremely successful. In fact, they asked me to call them back this year. They wanted some advice on bringing in a couple other people, like maybe a Tyler Maine or, Brett Wagner, because it was so exciting and successful for them. It didn't cost them anything because I lived here. I drove over to the show.
Right.
But they were just shocked with the involvement of the fans with Jason.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing I did want to ask you, because we talked about this, I want to say we talked about it probably good, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. You mentioned that because you do in-costume photo ops at these cons, you mentioned that your suit is about 97% accurate to the film. What is that 3% differential that's not? And was it really hard for you to get it to that close of a percentage?
3%, the reason I say 97, 3% is because it's not film used.
Okay.
Real simple. Anything that would be film used to be 100%, in my opinion. But everything is what it wasn't hard. I paid different people. I had a guy that made the hockey mask for me. I had another guy that I do have some hams that I can wear, but also the prosthetics for the hood that I wear. It's about an inch thick. I guarantee you, if I hit you with it, I can knock you out. It's that hard, thick, and heavy. And then the cool thing is, when I did Friday the 13th, the fatigue shirt you see behind me, that's a Vietnam era. That's what I wore in 1974 in the military. It's just so you know. The gloves, you can get those anywhere at a hardware store. The pants, they're khaki, Vietnam era khaki pants that are just filthy. And guess what? Good old Vietnam combat boots. The web belt, Vietnam combat. The little part that they put the dots in, that's a 30 caliber from World War II. And the 18-inch machete, guess what? Vietnam era jungle machete.
Wow.
So the only thing that had to be really made abstractly would be the darts. And I had a guy who makes and sells darts, make them for me and send them to me. Then taking the pictures for the shirt and the pants and sending them to guys to do special effects on clothing and to make sure all 7 of the hits were in the right spot on the chest and coming through the back. That's extremely important. So when I do photo ops with people like I'll do this weekend, when they come around the corner, I guarantee you they're shocked. 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm 6'3", 250.
Right.
Same size, same structure, but the wardrobe is so spot on, and obviously I still stand the same way. It's me. They just kind of look and go, you're kidding. And then when they get closer to me and I get a hold of their shirt, they know I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Their eyes just pop out like, man, he gets a hold of you. You ain't going nowhere.
Right.
So, it's spot on 97% with everything, but it's never been used on the screen.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, we've got like 5 like wrap up questions we'd like to ask everybody, and just wanted to kind of talk to you about it. You want to read our first question?
He's already really spoken on that.
Yeah, we can maybe ask him more, but I know you kind of spoke on this already, but like when you're not acting or at a convention, what does a day in the life look like for CJ? Maybe, other than, and I know you said you do a lot of work on the farm and everything, but what does that look like for you, I guess?
Listen, guys, I get up in the morning, I got to go feed horses, I got to feed chickens, and I got to feed the alpacas first and foremost. Got to get the cats fed and the dog fed. So that's my priority number 1 when I get up. Then my beautiful wife asks me if I want breakfast, and I said, yeah, baby, I'm starving. She'll feed me. It's a 50-50 chance, so I'm going back to bed for an hour.
Yeah.
It really is, unless I got to be somewhere. But other than that, it's throughout the day because you got to clean out the horse pens every day. So you're always shoveling poop. You got 3 horses, that's a lot, and you're shoveling alpaca poop. So you're moving stuff around. You got 5 tons of hay coming in. You got to unload the truck. Again, that's what people always say, God, you're so big. I said, that's because I shovel a lot of poop. But it's because I got to move a lot of hay around and stuff. So my days are really around the ranch itself. And then anything if I want to do, it's, Ruby and I do different things and have fun. Ruby's my wife. She plays tennis. So, she's playing tennis like she did this morning. She was out the door at 9 o'clock to go play tennis.
Sure.
So we do things like that. We have our favorite restaurant places we go to. And, we just had, my son lives here. He's 30. He bought a house last year in Montana. And then the 2 girls came up 2 weeks ago with husbands and boyfriends and 2 grandchildren stayed for 4 or 5 days. So the house was full of 2 little people running around and all the other people running around. And me, I got to leave after 3 days because I had a convention to go to.
Yeah. That's fair. I think you can read him your question.
Yeah. So one thing that it's a question that I'm asking everyone of every genre interview because I still don't know what the solid answer is, but why do you think horror movies in general have such a wide variety of audience enthusiasts, fans? Why do we, all races, all creeds, all ages love to be scared and watching a scary movie?
I can say it with one word:
Okay.
simplicity. That's all it is. When you look at horror movies like Friday the 13th, like Mummy, Werewolf, Terrifier, they're simple. They're not complicated. You already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're watching the same movie over and over in different genres of a different way of somebody being killed. And it's exciting to see the special effects. It's nice with the green screens and computers, and that's all really cool AI. It's all magnificent, but the simplicity of a movie that anybody can go outside their backyard right now with their phone and edit and make and add music to it, it's pretty cool. You can use the same idea when it comes to how many people are becoming artists when it comes to singing. They can record and do everything on their computer at home in their bedroom. They've got everything they need. They don't have to go to studio anymore. And they can continue to submit those DVDs until they get a hit, or they can put it on YouTube. And once they get a few million hits, they become popular. And before you know it, somebody's giving them a shout to say, hey, let's put you in a studio. It's become so simple with technology to do this stuff that people just love it. And you're right. I tell people that come to shows all the time, look around you. You got people in suits. You got people that you can't recognize. You got anime. You got monsters. You got Ronald McDonald, this last show, holding a skull, walking around. Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
So, and every time I do a convention, I've never, ever seen anybody have a conflict, upset, problems. You could have a concert down the hall or down the mall or even outside at a park, and somebody's going to get into a conflict. Never have I seen one at a horror convention or a Comic-Con convention or any of those Galaxy conventions. Never, ever. Everybody's having fun. The other odd thing about it, to spread out that answer is it's weird because you can be in a full-time business, a bank. Come on, we all think banks square, right? Let's be fair. Suit and tie working at the bank. But you go up to a copy machine and somebody's got a picture of Jason, and all of a sudden the person that walked up says, I love horror movies. But you didn't know that because it's not a common subject you want to talk about: gore and guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I mean, like we were just joking about earlier, I wear like 4 different necklaces. I'm always curious about who's going to say what about what, because I have a Jason Voorhees mask and I have like the hook from Moana, because I know one of the guys that worked on the film, and he got me one of these after the live action film. And it's like, you always wonder, if they say, oh, I love Friday the 13th, that I love horror, this and that, and I agree with you because, I do the con circuit a lot too. And, it's one thing to have like, say, like a religious parent or something, or Christian, super Christian parent that's like, ooh, that's evil, that's wrong. But then it's like you see families going together, little kids dressed up like Art the Clown or Jason Voorhees, and they're just having the best time. And it's like, you wonder just like, how could this be evil, So,
Well, the young kids like you're talking about, from what I see, they know the difference between right and wrong.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
know it's make believe. When I have a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or 8-year-old that's going to come in and do a photo op with me, they see me like this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I give them a fist bump, yada, yada. So I say, okay, you're coming to the photo op, right? Yeah. And the parents are always a little scared, but I say, I'll look at them and I'll tell them right to their face, okay, here's the deal. When you come around the corner, first thing I'm going to do is fist bump you. Okay, let's practice. No, let's blow it up. Let's do it different, okay? Blow it up. So when you see me in wardrobe, I'm going to walk up with my glove and fist bump you, and we're going to blow it up. And that way you know it's me behind the mask. Is that cool? Cool? They're all excited because now they know if I fist bump them and blow it up, that's CJ behind the mask. It's not Jason.
Right.
Yeah.
We talked about this in previous episodes, so listeners probably already hear this, but I suffered from horrible night terrors, anxiety as a kid, every little thing. I I remember being scared at the Halloween episode of Family Ties, and they were zombies, and I was just terrified, and all the lights had to be on. And as I got a little bit older, but not a ton older, I started really getting into the Goosebump books, and that like you're in on the secret kind of feeling. And I can totally relate to, they might be a little bit scared, but when you realize it's special effects, it's an actor, it kind of helps with the anxiety and the scare that you make in your own head, right? So that's so
That's
cool.
like fist bump. They know it's
Yeah.
me when they know the fist bump.
Yes, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's interesting is I'll give you a throwback. There are a lot of young people that are inverted, quiet, not real confident. You ever noticed how when they come to a convention and they put one of those costumes on, I don't care if it's Spider-Man, whatever, they come out of their shell and become very confident, they walk around standing up tall and everything. My point is, I wish they would let people wear some of their costumes sometimes a little more, because it gets that young person to a point of confidence again, where now they don't need to wear the mask to project confidence. They are confident,
Right.
It's just a little psychological tick for tat war, so to speak, because there are a lot of kids that just don't have the same confidence level that we may have as adults or even had as children, and they struggle. And, the way we can help them is I've watched them put those costumes on and they just become Zorro. They just become, everything you can think of when it comes to a costume, because they're no longer that fragile, quiet individual. They're in character.
Yep. Yeah. And I've noticed that about you guys too. When you guys put the suits on, you really like, for the fans, like, just become that character in person. And it's so fun. I remember when you and I were kind of first working together at shows, and I did the in costume photo with both you and Kane. You guys are both in the suits.
Who?
Kane Hodder.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him. Kane who?
But I remember Kane, this was back when he used to grab people by the neck before they take the picture. Oh, did he hit me? Holy crap. That was an experience. But it's like, I got that story now where I can tell people, well, I was actually hit and kind of hurt by Jason Voorhees, and it's awesome. So
Yeah, you got to be careful, to be fair. I mean, what I'll do is I'll put my hand on your collar and stuff, or I'll grab your shirt and just twist a little bit. Got to be real careful. You don't hurt somebody intentionally, but I never break character. If you try talking to me in costume, I will not talk to you.
And I could vouch for that.
That's awesome.
I've seen you in costume a handful of times, probably 10, and you've never talked in that costume once.
Never. And people come up, oh, okay, I want to do this, and I just look at them. I don't. Number one, you can't see my eyes because they're darkened out. There's a screen like in your window behind my eyes has been painted black, so you can't see through my hockey mask, but I can see you okay. So you can't tell where my eyes are looking or if I'm acknowledging or anything. You're just looking at a blank stare.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. So people come up to you at cons and such all the time, and they say, I love Friday the 13th. I'm a massive fan. Sign this for me, this and that. For you, what is it that you're a massive fan of that would make you want to go to a convention and get an autographed or collect something? Is it a musician? Is it a movie? What do you love? Like, what is like your thing?
That's a hard question for me because I've been very fortunate meeting everybody. It's all become a family rather than a special group of folks. Running casinos for all those years, I've got 45 guitars in the closet autographed by everybody from Willie Nelson to Cyndi Lauper. Because I got to meet everybody in the casinos because I signed the checks, so when they were performing, I was the one that made that decision. Like, let's bring in Montgomery Gentry.
Wow.
And so, let's bring Chicago in. And so I was getting to meet everybody and have them sign guitars for me. So I've always been in that element. Going back even further, when I was general manager of the original Tramp of London in the Beverly Center in Beverly Hills, That was owned by Jackie Collins, Joan Collins' sister, and Oscar Lerman. It was members only. The only way you could get in there is if Jackie approved it and Oscar. So yeah, Prince would come in and go into the nightclub, table 43, and drink his red wine. Stallone would come in, this is when he was single, go to table 5, have dinner with 2 bottles of Cristal, 2 blondes and 2 bodyguards. Tom Jones would go over to the bar with his son, who was a manager at the time, and have drinks. I've been around the environment so much and met everybody so often that it's never really done much for me other than treating everybody how I want to be treated, nicely. And that old saying, treat people how you want to be treated. So I've just kind of always done that.
So Brandon and I disagree on this topic, so we like to ask who we're
Are you married?
doing, where you land on it.
Are you married?
What was it?
What's that?
Are you married?
Yes.
Yes.
That's why you disagree. Part of the marriage.
Well,
I got a wife too. We disagree too.
yeah. We'll be married 12 years, so we've had a lot of it. But in the one of the subgenres of horror is like paranormal and aliens and things like that. What are your views on if paranormal activity stuff, ghosts, aliens, are really around us? Not just the movies, not just what we make up and we are creative with. What do you think is possibly real?
So I'm doing a paranormal convention in a couple months up in Pennsylvania. It's a psychiatric ward that had been around for about 150 years. I believe it was closed in 1987. I also did a psychiatric ward up in Michigan that had about 7,000 bodies buried next to it also. So they're like, hey, do you want to come in and go through the tour? Hell no. All right? Because if I can't get my hands around your throat and contain and control, I don't want to touch it. All right? So anything paranormal, I'm out of here. I've had people say, hey, you want to do our show with us, be a guest celebrity? No. I'm not religious. I don't want that shit attached to me and going home. You keep it. All right? When it comes to the alien thing as specifics, I think anybody would not really be thinking clearly if you didn't think they were already here. I mean, people talk about that all the time, and I know people get into this and they and them, and I just call everybody human anymore because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings accidentally. But among those humans around us, there's got to be at least one Martian, right? So I'm okay with the alien thing, the paranormal thing. I ain't touching that shit. Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair.
And then just kind of our last question, and again, this is no right or wrong answer here. Like, what are your views or what do you think of God, religion, afterlife? Where do you think we go from here after this? And again, no wrong answer whatsoever.
So I'm not a real religious person, to be fair. I don't go to church. I was baptized Lutheran when I was a baby, but I'm not a real, I have a problem with too many conflicts and issues with religions, whole, not singular. So with that, I don't, I'm not of that opinion. I just stay away from it. Two things I've always learned that, religion you never get involved in and politics you never get involved in. Everybody's welcome to an opinion. It's like an ass. Everybody has one. And keep it to yourself and let it go at that. I don't really get into it either way. But when people ask my religion, I don't have a religion because I don't go to church. And I think it's wonderful that people do. And if if that makes them feel good, then there's nothing wrong with that. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
That's great.
I've always liked the next line in that opinions are like butts. Everybody's got one, and usually they stink.
And that they can be stinky. Yeah, they can be a little nasty. But I always think when people they should, we have a lot of people who have a lot of opinions, good, bad, or indifferent. I always say that, good, bad, or indifferent, and doesn't make anybody right or wrong. It doesn't, what? If it makes you happy, if you come up to me with purple hair, and I go, hey, you got purple hair. What happened? Did you lose the bet? No, I did it. You did it on purpose? And I go, well, do you like it? And they go, yeah. I go, okay, that's all that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's how I shut it down. You like it? Okay, that's all that counts.
Yeah.
If you're happy with it, it looks beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, man, that's really all we've got for you for this interview. So I just want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. I'll send you my bill. All right. Well, hey, enjoy. Thank you so much. And I will chat with you on a rebound, okay?
All right, brother. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was our interview with CJ Graham. Katie, yeah, he's such a nice guy, and he's so insightful on everything that he talked to us about.
And respectful.
Yeah.
During the interview and even like after the interview, having a conversation with him, he just genuinely respects his fellow human being.
Yeah.
And you can tell that. Some celebrities you may meet at conventions, you can tell, they're just there to see what they can earn and get out of there.
Yeah.
But he genuinely, he loved the work that he did.
Yeah.
And I think he loves sharing that with fans.
Yeah.
And it's genuine that you can see.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up how genuine someone is. And he actually brought up in his interview about Monster Mania.
Mhm.
I just attended my second Monster Mania ever. I went to one a long time ago, 2019. It's about 7 years ago. And then I just went to this one, same place and everything. Got a chance to meet all the kids from Welcome to Derry. Now, they were definitely like using their, yes, please, and, no, ma'am, and no, sir, whatever, being very polite. And you could tell, like, it was all their first conventions. They were being so sweet, and they were on their best behavior. I wouldn't necessarily say they were being disingenuine. I genuinely feel like they were being polite, and I really appreciate it about them. I appreciate that about people that do that. You hate going to a con and they're either just sign, or they just don't talk to you. That's always a bummer.
Yeah.
So
I won't name names, but there was a celebrity and a highly sought after, very expensive celebrity that I was getting an autograph from my dad for.
Yeah.
And there were literal rules posted in his line of not being on your cell phone, not looking at him directly. Nothing will be personalized. Don't ask any questions. Whew. And you could tell when I walked up and I asked the handler, I said, please, can you just put my dad's name on there?
Yeah. And
the handler is just like, oh my God, I will ask, but I don't think so. And luckily he did.
Yeah.
He did. But the only interaction was my father's name is Mark. And that celebrity just simply asked, is it with a C or a K? I said, it's with a K. And he signed and ushered me out. And everyone has a bad day. Who knows?
Yep.
But to genuinely appreciate the fans and the work that you've done is great to see. It's refreshing to see.
And especially with someone like CJ, who, like we talked about, he tried to, he got his suit as close to the movie as possible. That's
Even
a big
like
deal.
where the wounds and things were. That's what shocked me, was just being that particular is amazing.
Yeah, really great guy. But
those professional photos have got to be great with that,
Yeah.
because of how genuine it is.
Yep, I've got one with him in the suit by himself, and then I've got one we talked about in the interview with he and both Kane. Kane was wearing his Jason Takes Manhattan suit. It was a really cool, fun photo. But gosh, guys, thanks so much for stopping by for this interview on Friday the 13th. We hope that we
enjoyed it.
Yeah, we hope that you made your Friday the 13th a little bit more fun watching this interview. We really appreciate you guys stopping by and checking this out. You can hit us up on our socials here. We are on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. We're on the podcast feeds. If you're listening to us right now, thank you so much. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Katie's got our TikTok. She runs that solely by herself.
Yeah.
She's gotten us up to about how many followers?
I have about 13,500 so far, and I've been trying to go live more often, so I really want to get and make it into more of a habit.
Yeah.
Because once you stop going live, it's easy to just not go back.
Sure.
But I definitely have been working really hard to try to get our name out there. So again, guys, if you can like, share, comment, subscribe, all of these things help push us out with any kind of algorithm, whether that's on TikTok or YouTube, and helps us make more connections and grow our community. And we would greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you can also send us an email at thecouplethatslays@gmail.com. Feel free to write in if you have a request on who you'd like us to interview. If you've got someone that wants to be interviewed, hey, maybe you're watching this and you want to be interviewed yourself. Maybe we'll talk. Why not?
Yeah.
If you want us to review a movie, if you want us to unbox something, just let us know.
Or maybe someone who has worked behind the scenes or anything like that, that it would be great to be able to interview and know more of the technical side of things.
Yep, absolutely. But all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for us today. My name is Brandon.
I'm Katie. And until next time, go enjoy your horror, but specifically the Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it's Friday the 13th.
Friday
Pop
the
on
13th.
pop on a Jason movie. When that.
Watch all of them.
Yeah.
Binge watch them.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
We're the couple that slays together.